Hey everybody, I'm Charlie with Janus Motorcycles. Welcome to the design and development update number 4 for the 450 Gryffin. Quite a few things have changed on this bike since the last time you've seen it. Hopefully that's evident. Really the last big push has been focused on finalizing the suspension and finalizing all the geometry for the seat and the subframe and getting the bike, I'd say like 95% of the way to where it needs to be for production, at least as far as geometry goes. So some of the big changes that have happened, we'll start out with the suspension. Pretty much everything on the suspension has changed since the last time you saw this bike. So starting up front, the front suspension now has 6 inches of travel. So we've got a longer shock, played around a lot with springs and got a spring on here that feels nice with the bike. You'll notice there's some radical stuff going on with the horizontal here. It kicks up to clear the ground at full suspension squish. So this is a big deal as far as handling goes. Really increasing that suspension travel like we've been shooting for and getting things tuned in. It feels really nice so far. Here in the back, we've got an entirely new subframe and a modified swing arm. So it's the same swing arm, but all the pivots are moved forward an inch. So effectively the swing arm got an inch shorter. We're down to 4.5 inches of travel in the rear shock, which is about 5.25 inches of travel for the wheel. So that's actually a little shorter than the last version, but we found that we didn't need that rear travel, and it really helps getting the bike leveled out and the seat height down, so that's nice. With the changes to that suspension, we actually have added 3/4 of a degree of tilt back on the bike just for some stability, increase the rake, get the stance looking really mean. So I think that went really well. The way the bike sits now is just how we want it. Aside from suspension, the exhaust is pretty much entirely redone on this bike. Everything from here back is brand new on this bike. So one of the things was getting the entry cones for the mufflers tucked in and the header tubes rerouted, essentially just to pull them in towards the center line of the bike so that they don't rub up against your leg while you ride. And that went really well. They are tucked in there so tight. It's gonna be exciting to see how well that works. So along with that subframe and exhaust change, we've got a brand new seat on here. So as you can see, it's a lot longer from the last version. Experimenting with some shaping stuff, getting it narrower at the back here to give a nice grab handle here, and it's really handy to be able to pick it up and grab right here. So I like that a lot. New seat, new subframe, and then the last big thing that I've been working on is getting a cargo rack. So kind of as a segue, the big test that's happening is tomorrow, this weekend. I'm riding this bike down to Kentucky to go on a camp out with some Janus owners. So it's gonna be 800 miles of riding, aside from the riding we do down there. And I plan on going to some off-road parks and all that stuff. So big trip coming up, just threw together a cargo rack to get stuff on the bike for that trip. We'll see how close this is to the final version, but for now it's on there and it's gonna work all right. Aesthetics-wise, there have also been a couple of changes. So you probably won't notice very much, but the tank has changed slightly. It's moved rearward. We have 2 brand new fenders on. So one of the side projects that I've been doing for development of this is getting dies developed so that Brent can make these gorgeous ridged fenders to add some rigidity to them and kind of have a unique look for the Gryffin. And they came out so well. Some work to be done on them still, but they look really, really good. We've also got a race plate on the front of the bike now and got some paint on the airbox and other places just to kind of show off a little bit, dress the bike up. The big overarching achievement for this week is the bike is pretty much what it's going to be for production. So there's a lot of testing that's going to happen in the next 5 days. I'm going to put a lot of miles on this bike, and I'm sure there'll be things that we want to tweak after that, but it's pretty much to where production is. I'm crossing my fingers and knocking on wood. One of the problems that we also wanted to fix from the last version was the turning radius was not very nice. I think it would have been acceptable, but it's really fun to have a bike that turns on a dime, especially for riding off-road. Being able to turn around on single track is nice. So pulling that rear wheel in an inch farther helped with that, shorten the wheelbase up a little bit, and then I said we moved this tank a little farther back, and that really allowed for the steering stop to get shaved down so that the locks are farther. So adding those together, all the changes that we've made really have essentially made this bike, the suspension's tuned in, feels nice, all of the ergonomic stuff. The exhaust is tucked in far enough. The seat is the right shape and size. Got useful things like the cargo rack and the horizontal changed for off-road and doing trips. So it's really set up to be a practical, rideable bike now. Well, this has been a pretty quick update, but thanks for tagging along. I'm Charlie with Janus Motorcycles. If you're interested in this bike, you should go on our website right now. They're up live for pre-order. If you're interested in more of the development of this stuff, this is actually the 4th episode we've done, so you should check out the other 3. And stay tuned for this summer for the official release of the Gryffin 450.